Hi, good afternoon. It's Dean from maverickstar Observatory. It's the 17th of the month, guys. As you know, we pull out the SD cards from the TriMag and the magnetosphere sensor, and we pinpoint the current position of the magnetic dipole over the northern hemisphere. As you can see, the longitude and latitude is in front of your eyes. For those of you that are pinning this on your own Google Maps, the longitude is 83 degrees by 18 hours 34 minutes 56 seconds north, by the latitude 123 degrees 34 hours 21 minutes and 11 seconds east. It's covered just a little over 4 miles, so 1.43 miles to be exact, in the last time we took a reading of it. And we're going to zoom out so you can see that it is still tracking to that position in Russia, just below the Arctic Circle. So we'll zoom out so you can see that. Let's just clear off a few of these at first, and we will begin to zoom out so you can see, over time, how the magnetic North Pole has been migrating over the northern hemisphere. You can see our current pin location with regards to the 40-degree mark. We're not that far away, probably just over 2 years. And that is based on its current speed. It's not to say that it might get a bit quicker, as it does, but this is the pinpoint air that it's heading towards, like I say, just below the Arctic Circle in Russia. And we know why that is, and that's because over time, this region in Russia has been increasing in intensity. At the same time, that region over Canada, as you can see, all the pins go back to around 1900, has been weakening, and the Russian intensity is winning basically the magnetic pole from Canada. And over the last 100 years, you can see where it has left Canada, travelled across the northern hemisphere. You can see, in conjunction with the current position, how close it is to the Atlantic ridge, the North Atlantic ridge. And coincidentally, the 40-degree mark is slap bang over the Atlantic ridge. Whether that is just a coincidence or not, we'll see what happens when the dipole reaches that location in around about 2 years' time. Let's take a look at the TriMag data and the magnetosphere data. So here we are looking at the TriMag data over the last month. I understand it can be a little bit frustrating for you guys, because at a quick glance, if you start looking at these charts that we put up there, you're going to see that they look very similar and there's not a lot of movement. Well, what you've got to remember is, first of all, the magnetosphere, the dipole over the northern hemisphere is moving around 4 miles every month. And the best way to see the progression on these charts, without looking at the raw data, obviously we've got the raw data here and we just process them, is to go back over the period of time since we've been collecting the data and just look at the heading bar. You'll see it's around about 10 degrees on the left hand column. And if we go back to the current position, or the current date today, you'll see that it is quite clearly over the 10-degree mark on the bar. Like I say, we have the data and we can see individual readings, and what we're getting now is like we had around about last year. A lot of the time it was hitting or just starting to hit 12, and then it increased now as it is to starting to hit a lot more times 13, and then it'll be 14, then 15, probably over the next 18 or so months. We could be around 15 on that left hand marker bar. So in essence, the poles are moving. You can see on the bottom of the chart we clicked like 300,000 readings over the course of the month, so there's a lot of resolution there. So if anything dramatically starts to happen in the migration of the pole, we can go back in that data in the archive and draw on that specific point in time with the date and timestamp, and have a look what was going on and for how long it was going on. But just for simplicity, we just put this chart up there so that you can see at a quick glance, if you go back into the data or the archive, that the pole is still moving easterly in its direction. Let's take a quick look at the magnetosphere data. One thing I've noticed is that the frequency or sine wave of the magnetosphere data that we're collecting is starting to get compressed in some points. You can see that at some points over the month it's stretched out, and then you get these points where there's a lot of activity over a few days, maybe a week, where it's compressed. So there's a lot more going on at that period of time, and you can see also that it has at some point over the last month touched the scale of 199 on the left hand column, and then the compression started to open up over the last week or so. So I'm intrigued as to why it's doing that. If we go back over the month before, you can see there wasn't so much compression, but the sine waves was larger in amplitude, and then the month before that slightly less, and then the month before that, the 19th of the 10th 2020, you can see that compression sign coming back in mid-month on the readings that we took. So I'm interested to see what anomaly is actually causing that, whether it is solar activity, and the way to find out whether that is the case is to simply go into the archive of the data, note at what point in time the compression started to happen, and then just compare it with recorded data of geomagnetic storms and things like that, to see if that is something that is hindering our magnetosphere right now. So just to briefly summarise, your magnetic pole reversal is still on, guys. It may seem like it's slow and taking time for it to get to that 40-degree mark to see what happens after that point in time, but I guarantee you take your eye off it and close your eyes for a few seconds, before you know, when you reopen your eyes, it's on your doorstep. We really don't know what will happen during a full magnetic reversal, how much it will affect human beings and the planets and the species on this planet, both physically or mentally. We really don't know, but it is a very important planetary aspect of our planet. The magnetosphere is critical for protecting us, and we are on the precipice of going through this change, a rare anomaly. And just as a precaution, we do follow a lot of other things just to make sure that during this process of the reversal, it doesn't affect things like earthquakes more, volcanic eruptions more, and other things like that. We keep our eyes also on what's happening with the weather with regards to the jet streams and how much is influenced by the magnetic reversal. We also know that as a result of the grand solar minimum that we're in right now, that is having a hampering effect as well, by allowing more cosmic rays in through the heliosphere of our solar system. So the two lining up is really bad luck for us in respect of how much cosmic radiation we get inbound. We've started this year really well. Last year we managed to get a muon detector out to Perth, Australia, and we're getting data come from that in bits and bobs. We've just had one arrive in Canada, and likewise we'll be getting data from that soon. So I'll be uploading another page to the website where we're recording muon data from all the locations where we have muon detectors. My goal this year is to get more magnetometers out there in the field. I've got to return an email from someone who's got a friend in Brazil that has shown an interest in having one of our magnetometers and muon detectors. If we can set that up, all well and good. That's one of our primary objectives this year, is to get one out there into Brazil and also Russia. We've also got one, I don't want to name it just yet, but we've also got another location. I'm just waiting on confirmation before we send it out, and if that is the case, then we've got another weapon out there in the field, another piece of our armament, taking data. So I won't go on anymore, guys. I will say it'd be great if we can raise some cash for the observatory. links are on the website. They're also down there in the description. Obviously these things cost money, and there's also an element of time that is required to, you know, run this observatory. Now we have got quite a lot of equipment out there in the field, and we liaise with quite a few people, our superstars, in collecting that data. So, you know, a little bit of a contribution here and there wouldn't be a bad thing. Remember, this is your observatory and it's publicly funded, and therefore it is required that people fund it in order for us to continue doing what we do. And we know why that is, don't we? We know why we keep it publicly funded. It's because the mainstream organisations simply don't reveal the information that we do, and we're lucky because we have the equipment now where we can, you know, track these things and monitor them ourselves. So with that, guys, have a great day, take care of your loved ones, and as always, bye for now.